All right, here we are, video number 9 of the Fender Mexican build P-Bass project. Here it is, in the studio now and out of the shop. All strung up, neck is remounted, and for all intents and purposes, I'm going to say that the bass is, the build anyway, is done. There's still some cosmetic things we'll talk about here in just a second that I want to do, and one potentially thing that could be called build. But for the most part, the bass is finished. Let me back up and show you the complete picture of what she looks like. I've got a video light so you can really see the green in the pick guard. Looks so nice against this now rich brown fretboard. This took a lot of oil. I'll talk about that here in just a second. Okay, what have we done since video 8? Well, the neck was off, as you last saw. And so I, sure enough, trial and errored the shims. And it is in here. You can see it. It's a little black line. Those shims are black in color. I put the 1 degree shim in first, like I talked about, and put the neck back on, strung the guitar, tuned it up. And what I found was that all the strings were laying literally flat against the frets. All of them were all the way down against the frets, which obviously that action is too low. So, no problem. Took the neck off, put the 1/2 degree shim in, and then I had one more. I had a 1/4 degree shim, you'll remember. Put the half one in next, and lo and behold, put it back together, tuned it up, and it was just about perfect. The action all the way down the fretboard is within a 64th of being the same, and it's just like I like it. I think it's just about primo. So the truss rod adjustment held just to be perfect. It's perfect. I love it. Did not have to alter the nut at all. The nut came in just fine. I like that height. I'm happy with that. I did adjust the saddle heights as we talked about because I wanted to give the radius of the strings. I may have gone a little overboard on my A and D. I like a little bit of arch in the radius, but I think it may be too much. I like it a little flatter than this, but I'm going to live with it for now and see if I want to adjust it. So then I moved on to intonation. Intonation being, sure, the string is in tune open, but is it in tune at the 12th fret? I guess I'll turn my amp on here so you can hear it. Is it in tune at the 12th fret? And what about the harmonic? So to test all that, I got out my trusty Fender harmonic tuner, or chromatic tuner rather. This is a chromatic tuner that I've had forever. It runs on a 9-volt battery. This thing is awesome. It's very accurate, easy to use. And I tuned it up. And to my surprise, frankly, because bear in mind, I slapped this bridge on factory. I didn't change any of the string lengths of the saddles, only the height. And lo and behold, it's just about dead on. It's not exactly to the decimal point perfect, but it is super close on the needle, and to my ear, I can't tell the difference. Everything I play up and down the neck sounds in tune. I'm playing thirds and fifths all the way up here, and make you see, and I can't hear anything sour. It sounds great. So, miracle of miracles, I'm going to leave it just like it is. I don't think there's anything I could do to dial it in to be any more satisfying. Now, if this was going to be used in a professional studio recording, they may want to do that. I don't. This will make music and record and be fun to play for me just fine like it is. So, that's great news. The intonation, I didn't have to really do any, so I'm happy about that. Couple other observations, and then I'll play it a little bit. One thing I did notice on these pots, every once in a while I can hear a little noise in them. Right now they're behaving, but I think there may be a little noise in these pickups. The reason I say this is I described earlier how I found evidence of a beverage being spilled inside the guitar. I didn't see a whole lot up in this cavity, but I did see evidence that it had maybe run up in here. And let's face it, if this guitar is being tossed around, that substance may work its way into these pickups. I didn't clean these or anything like that. But I'm thinking now, and I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm thinking now, if it persists, or if I just, get a wild hair, I may put in some different pickups. I don't know. It sounds okay now. I don't think it's the greatest sounding bass I've ever had. It doesn't sound as good as my jazz. However, I may look into, because I mean I can get a nice set of pickups for this for $100. But for right now, I'm just going to play and enjoy it. Because again, the main thing is to make it fun to play up here, and it is certainly that now. One more note. Well, first of all, this I mentioned the tightness of this plug. This 4-point plug, and again, it's new, but you literally have to yank this thing out. This thing is extremely, and I don't know if I can get it on the camera, but it is a positive click when you plug this in. I mean, it's bam. I mean, it's in there. So that's good, right? I like that. So there you go. It's a fantastic bass. So I'm going to play it a little bit, and then I'll talk about what's coming up in video 10. But it sounds, I've got it running, by the way, through my mixer, through my Mackie mixer, and then it's running through my SansAmp, which I have set for my jazz bass. I found the sound that I like for my jazz bass, and I leave it alone, and I didn't change it for this either. So I think the distortion is a little much for this guy. It sounds better on my jazz than it does on this one, but it still sounds pretty good. It's so there's the A and the E. I mean, you can hear the distortions a little more than I would probably want for a precision bass. So it sounds pretty good. Things like Red Barchetta. See, it's a little twangy there. And I think there's some fret noise there. This action may be a little low. So I may adjust that. But again, it's a fun bass to play. I like it. I'm not fighting that bowed neck and before I even worked on this, it was hard enough to get it in tune, much less have it stay there once you got it. Now, I haven't tuned this guitar in 3 hours, and I've been sitting here playing it before I recorded this, and it's just a sweet player now. And I never play with a pick, but it's even... I mean, it's really pretty awesome. So could it use some new pickups? Maybe. I'm not going to do it right now. But I definitely like how it feels, and you can kind of... The higher string doesn't quite have what I would want, but overall I'm pretty happy. So, here she is. We'll get her muted. Here's what I'm going to do in video 10. I'm going to do one more video on this project. I'm going to work on this a little bit more and may complete it. It's kind of one of those things where I look at it and go, a little more. Hopefully I won't go overboard and wipe the whole finish off, but I'm definitely going to bring it over this contour a little bit and try to make it more like a natural rub. Right now it doesn't. It looks fabricated now, so I'm going to try to make it look a little more natural. I'm going to rub some candle wax in here, I think, to kind of give it more of that abrased, kind of in the oil in the skin, the kind of that effect that it would have. So I'm going to do that. I may also try to lift this pickup a little bit and see if that makes it sound a little better. I think it will, because this pickup is a little low. I mean, I had to get a ruler to tell, but it is a little low on this end, and that may be causing some of my G-string sound dropout that I'm hearing. But man, this is a sweet bass. One more thing I might do, and this will be down the road. I mentioned earlier how this neck is glossy, and my jazz bass neck is as well. I may tape off this V here and then the V that's up at the headstock, and I have some sandpaper that's such a fine grain you can barely tell it's sandpaper. I mean, it's very, very fine. And just gently work up and down this and create a matte surface on here. Because I think I would prefer that to this glossy. This can get kind of sticky and squeaky. And I prefer that matte look, frankly, I like. There's plenty of gloss on this. This matte I think would look good. So I may try that on this, and then if I like it, I may do it to my jazz bass too. But yeah, precision bass. It feels weird when you play a jazz all the time because again, this is a precision bass neck. This is a 44 millimeter nut. And here, just to show you, my jazz bass is right here. To show you the difference, jazz basses have a much slimmer neck. So see, here's the jazz bass. This nut here is way slimmer than this one. And you can tell from the back too. Let me flip these around. You can see on the back, you can really kind of see how much slimmer the jazz bass neck is. And of course, the jazz bass and the precision bass have different shaped bodies. For that reason, the neck is lighter on a jazz bass. So they added this little bulge of weight at the bottom to balance the instrument better. This precision bass, as you can see, has no bulge. Is it balanced? No, not really. It's not terribly balanced. It has a lot of neck drop, and a lot of precision bass players complain about that. Especially the more inexpensive woods are lighter. They're not as dense. They don't resonate as well, and they also cause neck drop. You know, when you sit to play, it doesn't bother you as much. But ideally, a perfectly balanced bass should be able to sit on my lap. I should be able to let go of the neck, and it should sit there. And this one, as you can see, is diving off. Precision bass necks are heavy, and that's one of the reasons. But, you know, whine, gripe, gripe. This is a bass that was sitting in my closet, unloved, and may have never been played again, had I not thought, you know what, I've got some time. I'm going to get this out. And now I have a connection to this bass. I love it, and I'm going to play it a lot. And I don't think I would sell this bass now. It's got no blood. I didn't bleed when I was working on this, thankfully. I didn't burn myself with the soldering iron, which I was worried about too. But I did sweat a little bit. And yeah, it's great. I love it. So one more video. The last thing I'll do in video 10 is I'm going to add up what the cost was. I bought several parts. So I'm going to add up everything that I bought just for this project that I didn't already have. So the strings won't count because I had those. I'm not going to count the soldering iron either because I had that even though I had to buy one. I can tell you from memory, I think, that the most expensive single component I purchased was the high mass bridge. These parts are not expensive. They're really not. And in fact, I was really surprised at how inexpensive some of the parts were. So I will add that up and I'll see just exactly what am I into this thing for. I have a feeling I'm going to say it was well worth it, and it was certainly fun. The problem I have now is I'm tempted to find another lost and lonely instrument and try to and have fun with it. You know, again, the whole thing was there was no risk with this. If I botched it up and ruined it or did something, you know, broke it, or then, you know, I don't even remember what I paid for it. I think it was probably $40 or less. And so, but as it turned out, it's turned into this really fun to play instrument. And that's what my goal was. So in that sense, I'm very happy, and I think it was successful. So it now has a place in the studio instead of in the closet, and I will play it from time to time and kind of dial in its sound and work a little more on the precision bass along with the jazz. So video 10 is coming up. That will be the last in the series. Bye for now.